We got James calling in from miniature octopi, little tiny guys, lots and lots of arms, who wants to talk about why we don't believe in God. James, you're on the line with Forrest and Owen. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing just great, man. Glad I got on. I just happened to turn and see you, happened to call in, and I got on. Well, I think I was having a conversation with Forrest about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And we were looking at God, I guess, from a scientific angle,
Sure.
Yeah. And we were talking about evolution or evolving. And I think what we ended was that our conversation had ended on how long it has taken Homo sapiens to arrive to this point where we're at today. I don't have the figures on how long evolution. Pardon me?
3.8 billion years is how long life has been on this earth and has been evolving. Our species specifically is 200,000 years old.
Yeah. 200,000. Yeah, so that's the situation where we're in. So I had an interesting question. Well, not an interesting question, but I was rebuked by a Christian earlier today, and they just said something that just really shocked me. A Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a God believer, but I'm not a Christian. I used to be a Christian, but I evolved out of Christianity.
Okay.
So I started there, but I evolved out of it after I had read the book about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times, and was just constantly going over the same things over and over again. I started seeking out more information, and I just evolved out of it. I learned how, Christianity is really not an original religion, but it's a piecemeal of a lot of other religions put together into one religion, and it just made natural.
You're preaching to the choir here. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what I'm saying. But I'm still a God believer. I definitely believe in God. And that's from my own personal experience. But the question, the way we were looking at it was evolving, evolving. I was at this stage, maybe 40-something years ago when I first came into Christianity. I believe in hell. I believe in the devil. I believe in devils and all this kind of stuff. But I evolved out of it. But I didn't evolve out of the understanding or the knowledge of God. But here was the question that someone asked. Here was a rebuke that I got. I don't even remember what the conversation was. But what stuck out to me, the person told me, say, well, don't be lying on God. And it just struck me as the craziest question in the world. How could you lie on God? God is omnipotent, omnipresent.
I don't understand what that means.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't understand. Don't lie on God. She said it's something I was saying that she was saying it was a lie, and I was lying on God. And I just couldn't get that. How can you? God knows everything, right? Omniscient. There's nothing that God don't know. So how can you lie to God? There's no way you can do it.
I think I got the impression. I think that what that term means is how can you, lie about God or swear that something is true and use God as your the basis. Like, I swear to God that this is true or whatever. I didn't get the impression that meant lie to God. But I don't know.
I honestly have no idea.
But that's the impression. How could you? How could you lie to God? Knows everything. How could you lie?
You couldn't.
And I was just thinking in this conversation here, when you were talking to the other gentleman, I was reminded this little situation I see on TikTok from time to time, and you'll have these parents, and they'll have 2 toddlers, or they have 1 toddler or 2, and they'll be sitting at the table, and they'll bring some candy and set it in front of them. Say, "Here, I'm gonna leave this right here with you right now. Don't eat it. I'll be right back." And you see when when the adult leaves, you see the two toddlers looking at each other, looking at the candy, looking at each other, looking at the candy, looking at each other. And eventually one will reach over and pick the candy up and start eating it. One maybe not, but, that's like the Adam and Eve situation. How the toddlers got that, whatever it is that they got, and they just can't wait. And they pick their candy up and eat it. So
did you and I talk about this last time? Because I remember talking to somebody about this, the princess something experiment that demonstrated this happening.
No, this is just something we didn't talk about. We were talking about evolution, and our situation was that we have evolved at this point as Homo
Princess
sapiens.
Alice.
Like what? No, I'm talking about. Go ahead.
So this is the I just double check. It was the Princess Alice experiment, and they would tell the children, they would have children in a room, and they would have an empty chair in the room, and they would have candy or a game that they were playing or something like that. And they would, the experimenter would say, okay, I'm going to leave the room for a minute. Don't cheat in the game. Don't eat the candy. Don't whatever the bad thing is. And they would leave, and the children would do it because they thought they were alone and they thought they could get away with it. But if they said, Princess Alice is sitting in the chair, she's invisible and magical and you can't touch her or feel her, but she's there and she's watching you, and then the kids would behave. And so this is kind of like a demonstration of how religious thinking works, that you tell people, hey, Jesus is watching you, and then they'll behave even when there's nobody in the fucking chair. Yeah, it's part of like where we get religion from. It is a domestication tool for humans. It keeps people in line when the state gets too big, when the government gets too big, when the community gets too big, and the government can't afford to put a cop in everybody's house to watch them. You tell them, my God is watching you, and I have divine authority to. That's where we get like Rome and the Roman Empire and others, the English Empire. Like, God has ordained that I'm allowed to rule over you, and God is watching you every single moment of every single day. So you better fucking do what I tell you to do, because God's watching you. Adults behave the exact same way that children do in that situation, it turns out.
Yeah, but I guess these wasn't scientific people. They might have seen that thing. They just did it in another kind of more humorous way. They wasn't saying that God was there. They were just saying, don't eat the candy that I get back. And they would go and stay an extended amount of time. And the longer they stayed, the more the children were tempted to eat the candy. But then there's another one I saw, and this was quite interesting. This really kind of got me. I looked at it. They have these toddlers, right? Maybe what, 1, 2, 3 years old, something like that. And they have bad eyes. So they're sitting in the doctor's office, and they're putting these glasses on them. And I guess they finally got the prescription for the children. But the kids don't want to put the glasses on. They had like a rubber band around them to hold it on when they put it on. But when they get the glasses... When they get the glasses over their eyes, then their expression changes and smiles come on their face because they're able to see people correctly for the first time. But before they get the glasses, they resist it. But once they get them on and get them in place, they see people for what they really are. And smiles come on their face. They see their mothers, their fathers, their sisters, their brothers. And you can see it. It's just kind of like spontaneous. So I'm just saying, like, it's like us here in evolution now. And I was talking about you being a scientist. And I was saying, you're a biologist, right?
Yep.
And I know I really couldn't have no conversation with you about biology because really I don't know nothing about it except that it's a science about life or living or something like that. So basically, life, I would have to the study of life, living organisms, how they evolve, how they live, how they eat, how they do whatever they, and how they life progresses. So I haven't studied that. But you have. So if I was talking to you, I could only talk to you at a kid's level to really get into a deep. It's like the terminology. I wouldn't even, you could throw words at me and terminology at me that I would have no idea where you were coming from. I would have to get a dictionary. I have to get books. I would have to study to get to a point where I could even begin to have a conversation, or I would just have to listen to you and believe what you said. And then once you tell me what it was, then maybe I could go check the information.
Unless I'm a good educator. I mean, that's the thing. I think. Yeah. So what it sounds like you're getting at here, and I think you have I like your conversation style. It's not good for call-in shows like this, but you talk the same way I do. You kind of have you have some connections that you're making, and you're a little bit flowy, and I like that. I'm not insulting you. I like it.
I know you're not. I know you're not. So,
yeah.
So maybe I won't call in
What I think you're no, you're fine. You can call in whenever the fuck you want. It's fine. I'm saying that I don't want
to make no bad show.
No. You're fine. I'm saying it's not good for shows that have to be snappy and quick. It's a good thing you called in on this show where we can go a little while longer.
Got some time. Good.
Yeah. I think where it sounds like you're going with this, and just to kind of to get there, it sounds like you're talking about when little kids, they need these glasses, they don't understand the glasses, they resist the glasses, but the second they get them on, they see things more clearly. And for me, as a scientist, you don't understand biology, but if I were to give it to you in a way that actually mattered, you'd see it more clearly to open up your eyes. And I think you're going to try to make a connection then to say, God is a similar way that we don't see it the way you see it, but if we did, we'd get it. Is that where you're going?
Right. That kind of sort of.
Okay. So James, here's the issue that I have with it though, is that when the reason why those kids struggle against the glasses is because they don't have the capacity to understand what's going on yet, and they need to be proven. They need to have it. They need to see it to believe it. Literally, they have to see it to believe it. If I'm talking to you as an adult, it's my job to educate people on science. So you don't have to just believe whatever I say about biology. It's my job to connect with you intellectually and help you get to a point where you want to learn more and understand what I'm saying before I even get there, because it's not just about you having faith in me. It's about you understanding the world around us. And so to try to compare that to God and say that we need to see it to believe it, like the children with the glasses, I would argue that we should be in a position like you and me as adults talking about science. If this God is real, then this God should be able to present itself in a way that connects to me as if I was teaching you biology. You don't have to learn every single little thing. I should be able to get you there in a logical way. And this God should be able to connect with me in a logical way that matters and makes sense to me. Otherwise, it's not worth my time to try to struggle with it. And it's not worth the leap of faith to be like a child and just try on the glasses and see what the world looks like. That's a great way to get into a bunch of bullshit that you also, James, would agree is not real. But if you were to jump into it and start believing it, maybe you'd see it differently. But that's not a good way to treat you. That's not a way you should treat yourself. That's not a respectful way to be treated. I think that if this God is serious and this God is real, it should respect us as adults and treat us the way that I would treat you if I was trying to teach you biology, not the way I would treat a child trying on glasses. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes good sense to me. But I'm still at the point of evolution to the point where we're at. And I think the last time we were talking, I was talking about Stephen Hawking and black holes. And I read a couple of things. First time I read about it, he didn't believe in them.
Yeah.
Then
until the math checked out.
Right. And then the second time I read about it, he believed in them. But he believed in them, but he believed, though, that anything went through the black hole was lost forever. Mm-hmm. And then he came back with another angle on that. He said, but he thought that when something went through a black hole, it released some kind of gas back into our environment that was still here in the environment. They left a trace.
Hawking radiation.
Yeah, they left a trace. Whatever it was, left a trace of what it was here. So now that is something else. So what I'm saying is we kind of in the same situation. I'm at a certain place in religion that I have stepped away from Christianity because Christianity is false. It's a creation by the Roman government. They took a religion, then they superimposed on it. They brought it into another situation. Yeah.
Why don't you take the extra step?
Go ahead.
Why don't you take the extra step? Why do you still believe in the rest? Because as far as I can tell, it's just as valid or invalid as any other belief system out there. Why do you still believe?
Well, see, because that I have evidence. And that evidence is personal, but it contradicts what the church says.
James, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So what you're just talking about there with Stephen Hawking, like that is a lesson in skepticism. He didn't believe it until he had good evidence, and then he got more evidence and continued to change his mind. I think that's a good thing. That's the way that I want to live. That's what we talk about on this show. So on the nature of evidence, genuine question, do you have any kind of training at all in logical thinking and analyzing evidence or anything like that?
Yeah. I do.
Okay, good. So I wanted to make sure I knew. I didn't want to talk down to you. I wanted to hear where you were at. Okay, so then you understand, if you have some training in this area, that like anecdotal personal evidence is the worst kind of evidence, you know? So why is your personal experience good enough for you if you haven't run any tests on it, you don't have any actual data to analyze, like, or do you? Do you have actually experimentation that you can lean on? Or is it just...
I do.
Okay. What's your experiment?
So, but here, let me say this first though. Like, I accepted what Stephen Hawking said without any evidence. I just kept it on his word. See, because I don't have the equipment to investigate it to find out whether it's true. But I believe as who he was as a scientist, what he was saying was true. And like when I was telling you, you corroborated it. And you said, how did you say this? What did you say? You said something about radioactivity. They were able to see this.
The Hawking radiation is the low Hawking radiation. And yes, and that's the thing is that like, you don't have to take his word for it personally. There are thousands of other physicists out there that also study this stuff that are able to validate his math. And so like, if I sit here and tell you, but that's the thing, man. If I sit here and tell you that we evolved from apes and that humans are actually a species of great apes, that's fucking true. But you shouldn't believe me just because I said it. You should believe it because I have the data to back it up. And even if you can't analyze that data, there's thousands of other biologists around the world that can and that have. When we talk about God, you've got your data that you've talked about, but you don't have any serious analysis of it, and you don't have other people backing it up. So why should we believe it?
Well, now, see, that's what I'm saying. I have people of a similar faith who have had similar experiences, and when we share our common experience, then we're A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Right. Have you ruled out other? Have you ruled out other possible hypotheses to explain those experiences?
No.
Also,
okay, well, that's
what
probably
you have. Yeah, but what you have is your experience, and they have their experience, and everybody has their own individual experiences, and they can't validate yours, and you can't validate theirs, and everybody's is completely different. Where we have hard evidence.
No. Not completely different. Now we speak the same language. There's a language that we speak. Those who have this thing in common. There's a common language that we speak.
I'm not sure what you mean.
So we start. What is it? It's I don't know. Maybe it's like a rhythm that we get. You know,
but that's not evidence, right? That's not evidence
between the two people who have experienced the same thing.
Yeah, James, but with all due respect. James, with all due respect, you're talking about how we have a common language and we're able to share this. But at the very beginning of this call, you talked about someone else who was speaking the same language as you saying, don't lie on God. And all three of us didn't know what the fuck that meant. And we all had different ideas. So what do you mean we have the same language?
Hold up. And I didn't know what it meant either because it confused me. I couldn't even put that together.
Yeah.
How could you even imagine?
And I guarantee And I guarantee, James, that person you talk to has personal experiences with the Christian God that they think is just as real as your belief when you refuse the Christian God.
But hear what I'm saying. So here's the situation. See, I've moved on from where they're at. I was there at one time, but I've moved on from there. You see what I'm saying?
But that's what I'm saying, man, is that I would bet you money. I would bet you money there's a Christian out there that's been where you are that has now become more Christian that would say the same shit. So the question is, how do we actually validate these things? Because they can't all be right. They can't all be right, but they can't all be wrong.
You just confused me on something. You said there's another. First of all, the people I'm talking about wouldn't call themselves Christians any longer because they know Christianity is false. So we're talking about God.
I bet you anything. I would bet you good money that there are Christians out there that used to believe the way that you do right now, but then leaned harder into Christianity and decided that Christianity was actually true, and that all that stuff about the Roman Church was just a bastardization, and that there's a core truth to Christianity and all this stuff, and they leaned into it. And I can bet that because I promise we've talked to so many people on this show. We've talked to every kind of stripe. There's 40,000 denominations of Christianity alone, man. So what I'm saying to you is I think that all of these claims can't be true, but all of them can be false. And I don't think that you have a good way to differentiate your claim from all these other claims in a way that actually scientifically matters.
Now watch this here. Now, there is. I have received. See, every religion promises you something. Mm-hmm. People like. I think the reason why people go into religion is because of death, and religion is the only ones that really speak about a possibility of overcoming death. So you go into religion with the possibility that you may be able to survive death with this knowledge. So
for sure.
In the religion, the religion offers you something. It offers you verifiable truth. So
it does. Religion offers you verifiable truth. I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Like, do I have gummy bears in my ears? I'm not sure.
I'm gonna tell you. It's two scriptures in the one in the Old Testament and one in the New Testament. And when I put those two scriptures together, I walk right out. So I got the scripture from the Old Testament. It says, "In that day." It says, "In that day, this is what's going to happen." That was in the Old Testament. Now is the scripture in the New Testament, and it's in the book of Acts, I think the 17th chapter, and it goes like this here. It says, God has created all Homo sapiens out of one blood. Mm-hmm. We all come from the same stock.
Okay.
Homo sapiens, we all come from the same origin. We originated in the same place, and we've progressed to where we are today. And then it goes on to say, but that same God has put boundaries on all of us. So we're striving forward, but we are all limited in how far we can go in any direction.
I'm not sure I understand. Connect the dots for me back, because I'm trying to understand where you come from. You said that religion has truth for us. I'm not seeing it.
I'm saying for me. Well, I'm telling you for me. In the Old Testament, it says, in that day, this is what I'm going to do. And the day he was talking about was the day that I came in. And the day I came in, he did what he said he was going to do in the Old Testament, but I'm in the New Testament now. Then he also said in the New Testament, he said this, that you are limited, and God is putting limits on you, that happily you might search after God and find God. See, because when you get to your frustration,
that sucks. Also, Also, that sucks. That sucks that God would do that. But also, I thought we agreed that Christianity wasn't real. So why?
You criticizing it before you hear the complete statement. So you haven't heard the complete statement yet.
I thought we agreed that Christianity wasn't real. So why are we talking about the Bible?
No, I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm talking about the Bible, the scriptures. See, the scriptures were written before Christianity. Paul was writing Paul was writing in the 50s. Christianity didn't get started to the 4th century. Paul was writing in the 1st century, and by the time Rome got it, they changed the whole script.
So it sounds to me like what you're saying is that you are a Christian, as in you are somebody that follows the teaching.
I'm not a
let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
See, because
go ahead.
Because
let Owen finish. Owen had a point.
Okay. Let Owen finish. Go ahead.
All right.
But I'm not a Christian. No, don't categorize me as no Christian.
He was getting a point. He was getting a point.
All right, hang on. I like the lag is killing me. I can't tell where I am if I'm speaking over somebody. But Christian is a self-ascribed label that anybody can claim. It's not something that like you ascribe.
I don't claim it. I don't claim it.
That's fine. That's fine. Let him finish.
Somebody that just follows the teachings of Christ, isn't it? And you follow the teachings of Christ, is that right?
No, that's not it.
Okay. What is it? What's Christianity then?
Christianity is a creation of the Roman Church.
Right, but like, what is the process of Christianity? Because like what Owen just said could still be a creation of the church. He was just describing the way that people like interact with it in their day-to-day life.
But here's what I'm asking you. You guys read the Bible, right? You read it, you studied it?
I've read it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, if you understand that Christianity is only mentioned 3 times in the Bible. First time is in the book of Acts, where it said they were first called Christians at Antioch. It was a people in Antioch who supposedly called the disciples of Jesus Christ Christians. They called them that. Christians didn't call themselves, disciples of Jesus Christ didn't call themselves that. They were given that name by somebody else. Then there's another scripture saying, where Paul said, don't be mad if you get called, if somebody calls you a Christian, don't be mad about it. Or if you suffer don't be mad about that, because that's who they think you are. All right. Now, Paul called the disciples of Jesus Christ saints. In his letters, he wrote to the saints of God, to the saints of Corinth, to the saints here.
But weren't the saints like a special category? Did he call everybody saints who followed Jesus?
In order to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, you had to be sanctified.
Yeah, but were you automatically a saint if you were a follower?
No. You didn't become a follower. See, now this is a hard part. Now, when Jesus went up to Jerusalem to be crucified, and he started telling his disciples, he stopped doing miracles, he stopped feeding the poor, he started telling them, say, I got my face towards Jerusalem, and I'm going to Jerusalem to die. They really didn't understand that. They couldn't conceive it. They was looking for him to start up a kingdom and all that kind of stuff. But he said, I'm going up to Jerusalem to die. And if you want to be a part of me, you got to be ready to do what I'm going to do. Now, it says, when he said that, a lot of his disciples stopped following him. They stopped following him. He said, they said, because this is a hard saying and we can't hear it. Then he turned to the 12, said, will you lead me also? And the 12 said, James, where can we go? Go ahead.
James, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to interrupt you all the time, but like, I feel like we're getting lost in the semantics. Was Jesus a Christian?
No, Jesus was a Christ.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
Christ,
like digging into the semantics of who can and can't call themselves Christian and what Christian really means. Like, I want to get to where we're going because we've been on the call for about 30 minutes. We got other calls we got to get to. And I think you'd be fun to drink with and chat about this stuff with. But like,
you know what?
We got to get there.
I think so too. But that's why you got 40,000 some different religions, because on that single thing right there.
Sure.
So it's divided into all them things. Yeah. So I
why? What's the main point? Why do you believe? What's going on?
The main point is, in the book of Acts, it say God has put boundaries on us that we can't go as far as we would like to go. And the reason why he put boundaries on us is that we have a certain amount of time. And in that time, we should better use that time trying to find God.
I'm not sure I follow, but okay.
That sucks. Well, that sucks.
Right. I'm telling you. Except if you
why wouldn't this God, when we tune in, like just everybody goes through an orientation and God shows up, it's like, yo, what's up, bitches? I'm God. And then we can go on doing what we want to do with our lives. Why do we have to dedicate the little bit of time we have on this planet searching for his dumb ass rather than doing the things that we want to do with our own lives and living for ourselves?
Well, take this into consideration. Now, there's Buddhism, Islam, Judaism.
Oh, yeah.
And the way. Now, these are all different forms and fashions, right? Like I say, Judaism offers you something. Islam offers you something. Hinduism offers you something. Buddhism offers you something. All these religions offer you something. So now when you get what they offer, you see what I'm saying? When you get what they offer you is a different life. So when you get that different life.
A worse life.
Pardon me?
A worse life.
Yeah, because wherever there's something real, there's something false. You see what I'm saying? You go out to buy diamonds. You go out.
I don't understand.
Buy diamonds.
I don't get that.
There are false religions and there are real religions, and the real religion gives you what it offers before you die.
I don't understand.
You don't have to die. You get it while you're alive.
I don't get that either. I think you and I.
Hold up.
I think you and I have fundamental different opinions on what religions even are.
Let's talk scientifically though. Could that be a false religion? Could that be a false religion if there wasn't a real religion?
Yes.
How?
So if you have all these different religions, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, all these things, it is impossible for all of them to be true at the same time. We can agree on that, right?
Well, could that be a false one if there's not a real one?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm asking. How? It's all these different religions.
I'm saying.
I'm getting there. I'm not dodging your question, my friend. I'm getting there.
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
All these different religions, it is not possible for them all to be true at the same time, right? Because they contradict each other. It is possible for only one of them to be true, or it is possible for none of them to be true, and for them to all be human inventions, just like Christianity was a Roman invention. It is true for all of them to be human inventions, all made for the purpose of controlling and domesticating people. They all started out as explanations for nature, and then they evolved into ways to control and domesticate human beings. That's what I think all of these religions are. So yes, it is very possible for them to all be false.
But let me ask you this question here.
Yeah.
Can there be more than one way to find God? If there is a God, could there be more than one way to find
God? If there is a God, probably yes.
Right. Now, that's the thing. So he said he had put these boundaries around you that you might find God if you search for God. So now,
right, but why is that such a big... What I don't get, James, because I've heard you say this before, what I don't get is why is this God's head so fucking big that his priority is that we find him in this unique and special way when we could just be living the lives we want to live? If I don't have children, James, but if I ever did, I would be more concerned. I would be more concerned about my children living their own life and being happy than finding and knowing me.
Am I talking to Forrest now?
Yeah, you are.
This is Forrest talking. Okay.
This is Forrest talking.
Conversation. this is where our conversation started. This is where our conversation ended last time. I'm gonna end with this. I'm gonna get off with this. But here's what we're saying. We are evolving.
Yeah.
Now,
we are.
What you know? Wait a minute. What you knew about biology? What you know about biology today is not what you knew 20 years ago. You know much more.
I was 12 20 years ago.
And a lot of things that you knew 20 years ago, when the evidence came, you just had to throw that away.
Oh yeah.
That's how scientists do.
Oh yeah. Always change with the evidence.
Say when they get enough evidence, no matter what they thought was what, but when the evidence is enough to tip the scale, they can let that old stuff go.
That's right.
We're evolving.
That's right.
We're evolving.
Damn right.
We're evolving in biology. It ain't no telling what's going to be 20 years from now. What people you might have some visions right now in your field of what you think the possibilities are. I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson and some more people on the program the other day, and they were making predictions for 2055.
Sure, yeah, we can do that a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, but we don't know how those predictions are going to come out.
No, of course
not. No evidence, no source to measure.
And you know what?
But based on what we know,
when there's enough evidence, when there's enough evidence for God, I'll believe in it. But right now, there isn't.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. That's all I'm saying. So, so it wasn't all of, and I like this. I'm gonna leave you with this here. I think Paul said, and he wrote this here. He said, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I acted like a child, and I did childish things. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So a lot of things that I learned, and in my study, I found out they wasn't true. And as much as I enjoyed them and appreciated much comfort that they had to give me, then I had to leave that alone and move on. So I'm still in the process of evolving. But the situation we have is having evolving conversations where we can both see the other side, but we're still evolving. Like Stephen Hawking on that black hole.
Well, you know what?
Evolve.
Like I said, James, when there's enough evidence for a God, I will change my mind. As far as becoming, like, putting away childish things, I'm 32 years old. I haven't put away childish things yet. I just drew a cock and balls while you were talking. So I'm still just as childish, and I will remain as such.
You still a youngster, man. I'll be 75 in October. So,
God damn. God. Well, you're spry for your age, James.
Well,
James, like I said, man, I think you'd be fun to drink with, man. But I appreciate talking to you. I'm gonna move on to the next call, but thank you for calling.
Hey, thank you. All right, I might call in another time, but thank you. I appreciate you. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Take care, James. Bye bye. I like the man. He's funny.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him, but he's a jovial guy.
I feel like a lot of the statements made were a little like they didn't really lead us anywhere. It was kind of a dead end. But yeah, super nice for sure.
No, I think James really does sit and think about these things. And I don't think he's stupid. I think he rambles a little bit, and I do too. How could I begrudge him that? I think James would be fun to sit down and have a long conversation over a couple of beers, you know what I mean? And like really dig it. But like, I don't know, man. Like I said, I disagree with him on the points. And I think James and people like us, I think we agree on more than we don't. But I think there's some key, very important points that we disagree on. That's the whole thing.
Hey, if you liked this video, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't
like it, you would say,
subscribe.
Okay.
You didn't even give me a chance.
There was such a long pause. What
are you on speed or something? I barely had a chance.
Let's try again. Hey, I hope you liked. Hey, I hope you. Fuck. Hey there. I hope you liked that clip. Hey, I hope you liked that clipper just now. The one that you just watched with your eyes. If you did like it, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it, tell Jimmy to go fuck himself.
Hey, I hope you liked that clip right now. If you did like it, why don't you hit that like button?
And if you didn't like it, go ahead and subscribe anyway.